My name is Lionel. I am with the Minding Our Business Financial Academy. Welcome to December. Hopefully you had an awesome Thanksgiving last week with family and friends, and you were able to celebrate, be thankful, and then hopefully you did not get enticed by the Black Friday and the Cyber Monday, and hopefully you already haven't wrecked and absolutely killed your budget. But I'm here for you right on time. So this week, we're going to discuss the holiday money piece, not like peace, like a piece of thing, but actual peace, internal peace. So how do you make your budget survive this holiday season? That's our topic for tonight. That's what we'll be focusing on. So hopefully that will be a blessing to you. Hopefully we're right on time, and this is timely information for you this first week of December. Again, Black Friday was last Friday. We started out this week with Cyber Monday. Hopefully you didn't overindulge in those initiatives and you still are working with some capital and some resources. And now you're ready to plan what to do with that resources, those dollars, but you still want to be able to celebrate Christmas. You still want to be able to give with family, friends, and loved ones. So what I'm hoping to do is help you tonight with a plan. If you know me, I'm a planner, right? Plan, do, and review. They're probably going to put that on my headstone when I'm all done in this realm. But what I'm looking to do tonight is really empower you with 3 frameworks that you can use, that I've used myself in my household at this time of the year when it comes to gift giving. So without further ado, let's really dive into our scripture reference for this week. Is found in Proverbs 21:5. Proverbs 21:5. We have it pulled up for you, but yet still let me read that for you. Proverbs 21:5 says, "The plans of the diligent lead to profit, as surely as haste leads to poverty." Modern day translation: holiday spending goes wrong when we rush, react, and overspend. It will go right when we plan it and we stay intentional with our gift giving. So that's what I'm hoping to do tonight, is give you a plan, give you some resources so you can be intentional with your gift giving. And then we don't roll around in January and we're looking at our credit card statements, trying to figure out what did we do last month. So Americans overspend in the holiday season by an average of $1,000. And most people don't notice it until January, believe it or not. So $1,000 is the average that we overspend. That is, go above and beyond what we had planned on doing. So the producer's going to help me here. So what is the problem? Why do we do this? Well, as you can see on that slide, there's a multitude of reasons why we do it. And here's why. Emotional spend is probably number 1. 2, we don't have a plan. We do things very last minute, and society, the marketing, and all of that is really designed for us to take advantage of these last minute deals. It's even a coined and branded phrase that you will see in the department stores as you're out shopping, right? Flash sales, right? We're right on the season. You're getting the emails every day. We've extended our Cyber Monday, right? Get that promotion through the end of the week, 20% off, and all these different tactics that they use to get us to buy and spend our hard-earned dollars. But here's another factor we might not talk about, which is actually a cultural thing: guilt. Family members, other people within our sphere of influence, our loved ones, actually guilting us in, or maybe we're guilting ourselves into the fact that we may not have resources to really, go above and beyond and get that spectacular gift. So we guilt ourselves into going into debt to afford these things for family members and friends that really are outside the scope of our affordability. So that's actually a big one. And then there's additional costs that a lot of times when we talk about our holiday budget, we don't factor in: wrapping paper, travel costs, gas, airline tickets, expensive decorations for the tree, for the outdoor, for the mailbox, for the lawn, for the it goes on and on and on in America. There's something for you to buy to decorate every square inch of your home and outdoors. So I find some of this stuff very funny. I live in a community where there's a competition about the design and the decor and decoration of your house for the holiday season. Yes, there actually is a Christmas house decorating competition. And no, I don't live in that community. I think Eddie Murphy did a movie called Candy Lane, I think it was called, but it's very similar to that. There's inflatables, there's hundreds of dollars spent on strings of lights in between the homes above the street. So there's a whole host of things that people allocate dollars to. So that is part of the problem. There's intense societal, community, family pressure for us to perform financially in acquiring these things for the holiday season. So let's go a little bit here as I go through my notes. So we've established that problem, but here's what I want all of you to do. Do not gift yourself debt for Christmas. That is not a gift that I recommend any of you gift yourself. What I would like to gift you is peace instead. Yes, that inner peace that you did your level best for your friends and families. There's a saying, it's not the gift, it's the thought that counts, right? So you're being thoughtful, you're being intentional. You still are giving gifts, you're just not going into debt to do so. So here are some statistics we're going to see here in this. We see it here in this slide. 69% of Americans go into debt with Christmas purchases. And that was derived from Lending Tree. So Lending Tree did an article about that. 69%. That's almost 70% of us that are going into debt just on one day of the year. It's centered around Christmas. If you're a Christian, you know Christmas is not about gift giving. It is not about decorations. It is not about the tree. It is about the birth of our Savior, Jesus Christ, right? So that is really the focus, and the celebration should be centered around those of us who have the gift of salvation. We should be focused on that, not the decorations and the gifting. So I just want to put that out there really quickly because, again, this is a faith-based community. So I want to make sure I'm highlighting the center of the peanut butter and jelly sandwich and really highlighting the main thing is the birth of our Savior, Jesus Christ. So as we go into this now, I want to give you a solution. So we talked about the problem. I want to give you 3 frameworks that I've used in my own household that can help you survive this season without going into tremendous debt. So let's pop in here and take a look at the very first framework. The framework I want to talk about first, this is actually the very first one I developed. At the time, I had a household, it was 6 of us. Wife, 4 children, everyone at home. I was the chief breadwinner, the main income earner in the household. My wife was still in university at the time, getting her PhD. So I was responsible for running and maintaining the household. So what I did at the time, and we're talking, 20 years ago. So what I did at the time was I created a budget per child. So what I did was $500 for each child. The adults, limit that to $200. I know we all have friends and family and different things, but you're creating a very strict budget that you're trying to stay within. I tell the story. I remember this all came from, there was one Christmas, I was in real estate at the time. I had a little extra money as I was using that terminology, which I don't ascribe to any longer. And I remember I absolutely overdid it. It was like a 5-foot tall pile of gifts. The gifts were so much and so many, we actually put the tree on top of all the gifts because the gifts couldn't fit under the tree. And I remember my wife was like, "What did you do?" And again, it was like 20 years ago. It was probably over $5,000 or $6,000 I had spent on gifts. And it was overkill. It was absolute overkill. Of course, the kids were like, yeah, it was the best Christmas ever for them, but fiscally, it was not something that a good steward should do. It wasn't something that actually benefited them because they're all now grown in college, preparing to go to college, and that money would have probably been better served in a college account for them rather than just being blown on a bunch of gifts that they no longer have, right? So again, just like you're seeing this slide, you create a budget. It's a set amount per child, set amount for adults. You can go a lot higher for your spouse. Eight to $1,800 to $1,000 is probably a good metric. For some people, you're probably saying that's grossly below what I spend. But again, what we're doing is shifting our mindset, our thought process, and our activity from just what the world tells us to do, what this consumer environment we live in tells us to do, which is consume, 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 buy, spend, spend, spend. Your value is in how much you spend. Your value is in how much money you're wearing. All of those ideals are completely false. So we're trying to get away from that. Why does it work? It creates boundaries for you to stay within. It helps you from overindulging and just impulse buying. You've already bought 5, 6, 7 gifts for one child, and then you're in the store, you see something in the line. They always make that line, that S line, for you to sort of navigate through, and they pile all those cheaper gifts or impulse buys right there. And then you pick up one or two more things, and then you had already satisfied what that kid was looking for anyway, the adult, spouse, whatever. You're just overkilling. So it just helps you to avoid the impulse spending. It gives you parameters and boundaries to stay within. And then as a bonus, you can use the envelope system. If you want to just have an envelope with each person's name, put cash in there. When you're going out to shop, you're paying in cash out of that envelope. The envelope's empty, you stop gift giving, you have a few dollars left over, maybe not enough to purchase something else. Well, get a gift card. Actually put the cash in their stocking. Get them some candy, some other treats. There's a lot of different things you can do, but again, stay within those parameters. So that's framework number one. It's the individual person's budget. Let's go into framework number two. So the second framework I want to introduce you to, this is the number of gift rule. Now, this works when you have small children and again, I had 4 small children at the same time, 4 school-age children when this was really a big deal for me. So if you know little kids, they're counting, right? They don't know how much you spent for the gifts. All they know is I got 5, Timmy got 2, Jesse got 3, right? Why is that happening? So they see inequity in the count. So if you're dealing with smaller children, what you can do is the number of gifts rule. So the number may be 3 to 5 gifts. If you have a larger budget, you can increase that number. And I like the 3 to 5 because I've included a little rhyme to help you in the framework. So if it's 3 to 5 gifts, give them something they want, something they need, something to read. Pour into that brain. It could be something like a study Bible for a kid. It could be a graphic Bible. It could be one of the latest books that they're into, right? If you want to add a fourth thing, maybe it's something to wear. So by doing this, structuring your plan around 3 to 5 gifts, if you have multiple kids, that really puts a cap on it. And then it creates equity in their eyes. So it works because the kids are still grateful. It keeps the sanity among the parents. So there's not infighting, even though you may have spent the same amount in the first model, but one person has 5 gifts, the other person has 7 because they're cheaper gifts. It doesn't create that inequity. And it becomes predictable. You know exactly what you're doing. And like I said, the biggest thing is that the kids see the equity within the household, and then they don't feel like they've been shorted in any way. All right, so here's our third framework. The third framework is actually a hybrid of the first two. So the hybrid method is where you are actually assigning a number and maybe setting a number of gifts. Now, this was important for me because my age grouping between my four kids was a pretty large diaspora, right? So I had kids that were teenagers, preteens, and then still young ones, right? So right now, my kids are between 17 and 29. So when they were all at home, there was a sort of a different dynamic to it. And of course, if you have teenage kids, their gifts are more expensive. They're usually electronic in nature. The younger kids, they could care less. They want something to throw around, play with. Their gifts are usually cheaper. The younger they are, most of the time, it's for us parents who buy a bunch of cute clothes and different things we want to see the kids in for the holidays. So this method for me, as my kids began to get older, was super, super useful for me. Setting an amount for each one of the children, and then also counting how many gifts you got them. So in their eyes, there's some equity there. So the hybrid approach works really well. And in my example, I've used the same numbers here. So in my example, it's $500 per kid. It's still the $200 for the adult. Maybe the adult is only getting one gift. Adults can understand. And then again, your spouse should have a slightly larger budget than the other people. So why does it work? Again, it gives balance. It helps you to be more intentional, gives more meaning to the gifts because you're now focusing on a specific number of gifts. Despite the fluctuations in cost, you can be really meaningful and intentional by getting those 3 to 5 gifts for right about the $500. It allows flexibility in what you're buying because the kids are different ages, but still maintains that equity. Everybody gets the same 5 gifts. You spent the same $500, but the individual gifts may have cost. Might be a slight difference in cost. So that maintains a bit of equity for you. And quite honestly, in all of this, it reduces the amount of stuff because, as you know, right after Christmas is about 90 days after Christmas where they could care less, particularly with younger kids. They could care less about those gifts that you got them in December when Easter rolls around in April. So it just keeps less clutter out of your house by just keeping it to a set number of gifts, being meaningful and intentional, and having a dollar amount on those gifts. Now, these are 3 frameworks I wanted to share with you, but if you know me, I've been I've been known to say this slogan before: wait, there's more. So I have some bonuses for you. So I want to go into my very first bonus. So my very first bonus for you, if you're from a larger family. So I'm the baby of 15 children. Many years ago, when I lived in New York, we all would still congregate over to my mom's house. And of course, you would do family Christmas at home with your kids. And then when you go to the larger family event, of course, you have to come with gifts too for the cousins, the uncles, and it goes on and on, right? So I don't have to reiterate too much how unwieldy from an expenditure standpoint Christmas can be, particularly if you're from a large family. So if you're from a large family, family gift swap is a great idea. So some people call it the white elephant. I've played this game actually at work where we all pick a dollar amount, $20, $30, whatever it is. Everyone goes and buys some zany, insane gift for that amount. Everyone who's participating brings just one gift. You find a table, you put all the gifts on that one table. Then everyone who's participating, you go one by one, you go up there, you pick a gift, you open it, you show it to everybody. And then the next person has the choice of either going and picking their gift out of the pile or stealing your gift. And then you have to go back to the pile. So it creates a lot of competition, a lot of festivity, a lot of fun. Some people's feelings may get hurt if their gift gets stolen from them, but that's part of the fun. That's why you make the gifts cheap gifts. So it's not something that, someone got their gold chain that they really wanted stolen by another family member. It's just something small and sentimental, or something just, a very cheap, fun gift that you can make the game fun and no one's feelings actually gets hurt. Some people call it the Secret Santa. That's another option where we actually did this as a household because, again, my family was super large. Write all the names down, throw all the names in a hat. Maybe you do that at Thanksgiving when everyone is together. everyone pulls a name, and then Christmas, we put everyone's gifts on one table. So everyone in the room has one gift on that table. They don't know who bought the gift for them, but everybody leaves with something. And then you limit the budget. So you're only buying one gift. You're not showing up with like Santa with a sack of 20 gifts for every aunt, uncle, cousin, nephew, niece, and on and on. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful. And again, families who use this model, like I show you here in this presentation, they tend to save about 60 to 80% on their spending when they take this approach. Again, you still have fun. If you make a game of it, like that white elephant game, you can still have a lot of fun. Everyone gets a gift and it still works, rather than that transactional approach of I gave you something, you owe me something, and that creates tension within a household and family. But wait, there's more. I have another bonus for you. So my second bonus framework here I want to share with you is the holiday fund. Some people call it the holiday sinking fund. And essentially what you're doing is you are deciding on that budget, and then you're figuring out what it all costs. So if you're already mid spend right now, I'm going to go back to the track it, put it in a spreadsheet, start tracking what you're spending. When you get done with your shopping, look at how much you spent this year, begin to plan for 2025. In my example in this PowerPoint here, it's a $3,000 budget. Let's say you spent $3,000 this year. Let's say you're going to duplicate that in 2026. Or if you want to add to it, there's flexibility. It's an easy enough process to deploy. You divide it by either 10 or 11 because you want to have the money in place by November. If you're a Black Friday person, you like to take advantage of the deals. I used to be when my kids were small. I no longer engage in that foolishness anymore. There's no need. Cyber Monday, if you're one of those people, you would have the money in place. So essentially, you're looking at your overall budget. Then you're dividing that amount. So in my example, it's $3,000. I say I want to get this all done in 10 months. Maybe I want to start February through November or January through October. And what I do is I put $300 aside every single month. At the end of the year, the $3,000 is there in cash. I can spend, I can buy the gifts using one of the other frameworks that I talked about earlier, staying within budget, and then I have zero debt coming out of the holiday. That would probably be an ideal situation for most Americans. So like I talked about in the beginning of this live, 69, nearly 70% of America is going into debt in order to afford the holiday season. Let's break that cycle. If you want, of course, the benefits of that is you're reducing your stress, you're surviving the holiday with no debt, and there's no surprises for you. You're limiting the ability for the impulses to really affect you. All right. I'm not done with the bonuses. Hey, I'm feeling very giving. So I'll give you finally some other bonus hacks that if you were to Google it out there, you would find these bonus hacks. And there's a lot of them here. So I'll just read them off quickly. You have them on screen. Use a shared family Amazon. I know my daughter always sends out a text every year, what do you want? And she tracks it for everyone. So if you want to do that shared and everyone puts their gifts and you create a family budget and you make a family exercise out of it, that's another way you can begin to teach the stewardship principle to your young children. If you're determined and you're serious about budgeting and breaking this cycle of overspending, and you want to make it a family event, a family practice or activity, that's one way of doing it. I just mentioned, looking at what you spent the previous year and then either adding to or taking away from that number. So again, you're forecasting. That's another way to do it. The 48-hour rule. When you are feeling like you got to get more, just hit the pause button for about 2 days, look at what you have then, write things down on a list, and then really just look at what the needs are or areas where you can do small things, but it helps you just, again, to control the bleed, as we call it. avoid the buy now and pay later. Sezzle, Affirm, there's tons of fintech. Fintech is financial tech firms out there. They don't record to the credit repositories, so they won't affect your credit. And that's really the big sell, because people go out and they overindulge using these fractional pay providers. But in the end, if you do not make those payments in the timely manner that you agree to, usually they have very, very predatory interest rates attached on the backside. So someone like Affirm or Zezzle, they may give you 3 months, zero interest. They break it down to 3 payments. And if for some reason you can't make one of those payments, or you go beyond the 3 months, then they retroactively hit you with like a 49% interest rate. And then now you've created another situation and have compounded that spending with interest. So that's something to be really mindful of. Here's something I do: shop for your house first, right? So wrapping paper and unused gifts and all that stuff, get that the day after Christmas, right? I've got a bucket upstairs in my garage with tons of wrapping paper and bows and all of that. I'm also the one, when the kids are opening gifts, I'm the one like folding up the box to put it back in order so we can use it again. Because I just don't, $5-6 for the bag to put the gift inside of, that gets out of control really quickly. So there are small hacks that you can take to reduce the spend in that way. And of course, do not forget to plan for the additional things that come about during this season. If you're going to travel to go see family, long trips, the gas, the food, the lodging, if you're flying, there's a whole host of things that we typically don't put into our holiday budget, but we'll go ahead and spend those dollars during the holidays. You want to make sure that those things are ending up in your budget tracker when you do spend those dollars. So when you begin to review what you've done, either after Christmas, if you got all your shopping done early and you're ready to do that before Christmas, or maybe even in the new year, as you're setting goals and planning, you know exactly what you spent, not only on the gifts, but the travel and the other things, and you can make an educated decision about what you're going to do next year. All right, so if I could take this now to the review phase. In review, track it, plan it, review it. Employ one of those frameworks, or maybe it's a combination of frameworks that work for you. I gave you 3 core ones and 2 bonus ones that are more strategy on how to get it done. Make sure you are writing all of this down. Don't just rely on your head and buy a bunch of stuff, and then Christmas is over and you're looking at your credit card statement and then you're just shaking your head, can't believe that you did it to yourself again another year. So track what you're spending, set parameters around what you're spending. That's the planet portion. And then when you're done, go back and review it, create a total budget so you can begin to plan for 2026. Hopefully this was very helpful for you. If you're saying, Lionel, do you have something that we could use? Well, I'm glad you asked. So if you comment holiday, either in this video, on one of my social media posts, we are going to share with you our gifting budget template. Yes, we've created a template that you can use. It has the options in the frameworks that we discussed in the template. You can just write in names, writing amounts, and it's good to go. And then it allows you to total everything at the end. So we'll actually go through the sections of it really quickly here for you. If you look at this very first section, this is where you're just going to fill it out, what year it is, the information. You're going to put all that stuff in there for yourself really quickly. And then if you move on into the template here, and the template will be a 1 to 2 page PDF style thing, but we're just showing you piece by piece in this presentation. Then you want to find the section that has the children, the adults, everyone. You want to go in there, and depending on which model you're using, whether you're using the amount model, stick in the amount for each person. If you're using the quantity model, go ahead and stick in the quantity of gifts for each person. If you're using the hybrid model, then my producer will just sort of slide through each of these so you can actually see the template. In, of course, this is in the presentation mode. You'd have it in a nice document that you could actually print or put on your phone in your Apple Notes and fill it out. So you could pick which one of the 3 frameworks we talked about today. And then here's the most important part, producer, if you could get me to the last section of the template here, and it's the reflection questions. This is the most important part. So yeah, it's pretty easy to put people's names as in. It's pretty easy to say, I'm going to spend this much, I'm going to buy this many gifts. All of that is pretty easy to do. But when you get to this review stage, I want you to begin doing a self-assessment. First, what surprised you about your holiday spending? Make sure you're documenting those behaviors. Yeah, I was at the store, I was in line, I saw the cutest thing, I bought it, it wasn't within my budget. Whatever it is, begin to write that out. And so you can reflect. And that's the only way you change your behaviors, is when you begin to reflect on them. What traditions brought you the most joy? Maybe there was something that was non-monetary about this season that you enjoyed the most. Double down on that. And I think that's really one of the keys to it. We get so caught up in the gift giving, we get so caught up in the spending, the gift cards, all these different initiatives. But really, was it just gathering with people? Was it having a great meal? Was it your aunt's macaroni and cheese? Was it this? Was it that? Double down on those things, because those are actually what the season is about. The season is about fellowship and the love and support that we can provide one another. We all know the holiday season is a very hurting and hurtful season for many people. You might have lost loved ones. You may not have the family structure or different things right now in your life, and you may be hurting or grieving, feeling alone. So I pray for you if that is your situation, but make sure you begin to do these self-reflection pieces and don't just get caught up in spending a bunch of money while there's some emotional parts of you that have been left unaddressed. Stewardship is not just about our finances. It's about our time, our talent, our connections, our relationships. So make sure you're stewarding the entire holistic part of you and not just your finances. And thirdly, what will you adjust next year? So whether it was the budget, whether it was the amount that you spent, maybe it was travel, identify the one thing that you're going to adjust as you go on this wealth plan. Okay, so as we conclude and we begin to wrap up, thank you for all of you for engaging. I'm looking at the comments here. I see a lot of holiday comments. I see people saying that the Black Friday shopping was definitely an issue for them this year. So I want to encourage you to get a copy of that template, fill it out, stick to it, and commit to taking these steps and doing the self-reflection and really begin to change your behaviors around the holiday season. But before we go, I want to make sure that you are aware we're offering a special end of year promotion. I want to make sure that financial literacy and financial management is something that's actually attainable for you. You can get into a program, a structure with support, instruction, and accountability. We have all of that for you in the Minding Our Business Financial Academy. So if you visit us at mindingourbusinessfinancialacademy.com, what we're doing right now is our top tier plan, which gives you the most access to myself, gives you the most offerings. We're reducing that by 50%. We really want to help people of faith get their finances in order. So we are launching this promotion. There will be bi-weekly accountability calls. You'll have a one-on-one session with myself to go over your finances, create your plan, and custom tailor something for you. There will be access to the online instruction where you can actually go through and begin to implement the 1080 budget, the 7 account framework. You can get those templates for your weekly meetings. You can begin to document and have those frequent weekly meetings. We even go into investing, how to derive your investor DNA, how to begin to get yourself prepared for the rest of your life. If you do not make investments now, you will be working well into your senior years. The only way I was able to exit corporate at 47 years old was by investing and creating a portfolio that actually supports me and my family well beyond my working years. So that's incredibly important. So visit us at that website. If we can serve you, go ahead and take advantage of the end of year promotion. We will lock you in at that price, so you don't have to worry about any price changes. Of course, you can, exit the program at any time. There's no sort of hidden fees or hidden restrictions in that. Again, we're a company that focuses on integrity. We are faith-based, and we are hoping and working and serving clients and people in getting their financial house in order and learning financial literacy, but more important, practicing financial management under the umbrella of financial stewardship. So thank you again for your time. Thank you for joining and participating. We're going to continue to do this every single week. So go out there, mind your business, create your plan, and stay committed to your own financial management. Thanks for joining us at the MOB Academy. Now stop scrolling and go mind your business.